Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars, where we give you an inside look on what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, we're going to be giving you the complete overview of Sagittarius season. This way, you can know everything that's going to happen within the next month, get all of that information in up front and dive into Sag season. But in case you missed it, which set the stage for this week, last week Venus and Mercury both entered Sagittarius, so the Sag energy is already here. If you missed that episode, then definitely go back and listen to that before you continue.
And just to give you a heads up, next week we will be having a special educational episode, very on brand for Sag season, as you will learn in just a moment. We will be discussing everything that you need to know about the houses.
So in this episode, we'll tell you everything that happens in Sag season, but certain transits do happen this week, so we'll explain these more in depth now. That'll be the Sun in Sagittarius, New Moon in Sagittarius, and Jupiter Retrograde ending. You'll get all of the details on that now. And then the other things that happen during Sag season, including Mercury and Venus in Capricorn, the full moon in Gemini, Neptune Retrograde ending, and Jupiter re-entering Aries. Those happen later. We'll tell you a little bit about them now so you know in advance, but expect there to be deep dives on them later throughout Sag season as we continue to release more episodes. And after a short ad break, we're going to dive right into Sag season. All right, welcome back. Let's begin. Sagittarius season begins when the Sun enters Sagittarius on November 22nd at 3:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know and how this will affect you. When the Sun enters Sagittarius, you begin to take on the Sag energy, which means you might find moving forward, you're about to be a little bit more independent, a little bit more open-minded, witty. And yes, Sagittarius is known to be a sign that likes to travel. So if you find that the desire to travel is pretty strong during Sag season, that is very on brand and to be expected.
So while the Sun is in Sagittarius, we're all going to be experiencing and taking on that Sagittarius positive, optimistic energy. We will go through and give you more details on the different aspects and how that's going to affect the Sun and things that we're experiencing. But overall, this is, like Jade said, a really good time to explore and learn. Sag energy too really likes to think about the big picture. So you might be more focused on things going on around you or long-term goals. We won't really be focusing as much on the details. You also might be feeling a little bit more adventurous.
So yes, there is a lot of free-spirited energy that comes during Sag season, but there are some key dates you'll want to pay attention to. In addition to the key dates that we talked about in last week's episode with Venus and Mercury in Sagittarius, which again, if you want to know those, that was in last week's episode, so definitely check that one out. But I digress. The key dates that the Sun in Sagittarius will make, the key aspects. The first one happens on December 8th. This is when the Sun is opposite Retrograde Mars. If you find that you're feeling very frustrated or you're having a difficult time asserting yourself, that is just to be expected on that day.
The next key date to know is December 12th. The Sun will be sextile Saturn. We love positive aspects to Saturn. This usually helps us be very practical and grounded as we're doing things. You also might find that you're very motivated because Saturn's a very disciplined sign. So a lot of that energy that can sometimes feel a little bit all over the place, especially when the Sun is in a mutable sign. Saturn is kind of there to focus in our energy and channel it in a way that is effective and allows us to get things done.
And then on December 14th, the Sun is square Neptune. Things might feel really confusing this day since squares create tension and Neptune is a very foggy energy. You might find it's kind of difficult to see yourself for who you really are. If you're feeling very lost this day, just know that this will pass and just try to be kind to yourself around December 14th. So the next thing that happens during Sag season is the new moon in Sagittarius. It literally happens one day after Sagittarius season begins. So November 23rd, this happens around 5:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 1 degree Sagittarius. That's why it's happening so soon. So, what you need to know about this is that new moons are times of new beginnings where we're setting intentions, and we're setting intentions around all things Sagittarius. So, if you're feeling like, hey, you need to be more independent, maybe you want to see the world more, right? We said Sagittarius energy does enjoy traveling, or maybe there's some educational goals you have for yourself. You want to learn more or grow more as a person. This is the time to set those intentions with this new moon in Sagittarius.
So this is really exciting because we are out of eclipse season for now, and we do have a new moon where we get to experience all of the fun new moon things. I did want to point out that this is a lot of fiery energy because new moon in Sag, and then also this is happening at 1 degree, and the first degree is ruled by Aries. So with all of that being said, if there is something that you really want to do or really want to start around this time, it probably will happen very quickly. And then just also keep in mind that Mars is retrograde, so it really does depend on your chart. But in general, outside of the Mars retrograde, things might be happening fast.
So the aspects that the new moon will make include the fact that this new moon is conjunct both Mercury and Venus. So if you find that communication and relationships, also how you spend your money, creativity, etc., are all coming up. Maybe you want to have some new beginnings surrounding both of those things. That's also something to consider since Mercury and Venus are being highlighted by this new moon. So this could look like, if we're thinking communication, Mercury, setting intentions around maybe being a better listener or speaking up for yourself more. And if these are Venus-like things, maybe you're setting intentions around finding more time for creativity or spending more time with people that you care about.
This new moon is also going to be trine Jupiter and Neptune. I think that's really going to bring out the more spiritual, maybe creative and optimistic side to things. And that's a good thing to have during a new moon when you are starting something, because that optimism can help you take initiative and get started on something new.
And also with this new moon being sextile Pluto, you might find that there's some feelings that are coming up, but not necessarily in a bad way. You might feel more in touch with the things that you're very passionate about, or you might feel that rebirth energy that comes with Pluto, which is all about transformation. So the next thing that happens is on this same day, literally just a few minutes later, Jupiter retrograde ends and Jupiter stations direct in Pisces. This happens November 23rd at 6:02 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 5 minutes after the new moon happens. So how this will affect you is moving forward, not for very long though, because Jupiter's time in Pisces is very limited. This will be that period of feeling that expansion and luck and abundance, all of that's back on track. You might feel more lucky. You might feel more expansive in nature. And since this is happening in the sign of Pisces for this short period of time that Jupiter is here, you might get back in touch with your spirituality. You might find that your dreams are very vivid. You might find that you're very creative.
Something to know about this is that this is the final phase of Jupiter in Pisces. So now that Jupiter's direct, it's going to finish its time going forward in Pisces all the way through into Aries. And if you listened to our retrograde episode, then you know this already, but Jupiter's cycle is 12 years long. So now that Jupiter has gone through Pisces, it won't be back here for a little bit, and we're going to be starting a new cycle in Aries. So that's exciting, something to look forward to.
We'll talk more about Jupiter and Aries later in this episode. We went in depth about all the things that happened this week first. that is done. So after a short ad break, we'll tell you all about the second half of Sagittarius season. If you're someone like me who can sit and listen to podcasts for hours on end but struggle to keep your focus when actually reading written text, then I have a solution for you. It's a disability-friendly app called Speechify, and it's the only thing getting me, someone with ADHD, through grad school. Speechify is the best text-to-speech app that there is. You can upload any written document, whether it be a news article, long text from your friends, or my arch nemesis, Harvard Business Review case studies, and turn the text into an audio file that you can listen to right from your phone or your computer at your leisure. There's tons of natural human sounding voices to choose from. You can choose what speed you'd like to listen, choose to skip over citations, etc., giving your text that audiobook-like feel. If you're interested in signing up, then I have a discount code for you. Use the code STARS, STARS, for 15% off your order. Link is in the description. So all of these transits will eventually have their own episode too, but let's just get into it now so you know what is coming. December 3rd at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Neptune retrograde ends, and Neptune will be stationed direct in Pisces. Now, you might hear, okay, retrograde's ending. That sounds great. Neptune, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, is a planet that's arguably a little bit better when it's retrograde than it is direct, because Neptune is the planet of confusion. So if you find that you had some clarity for a while and things start to feel a little confusing again, or things get a little foggy again, that is to be expected moving forward, just because Neptune is direct and doing its thing. Now, you probably won't notice this too much on a personal level. So if you hear that and are worried, don't stress. Neptune is very far away. It's an outer planet. It doesn't really affect the individual as much. However, Neptune does rule celebrities and things like that. So if you're someone who likes celebrity drama, maybe once Neptune retrograde's over, you'll have some good celebrity gossip to read.
Another thing to know about Neptune in Pisces is that it really encourages us to be creative and also to look within and almost rely on our intuition, if you will, to figure things out. Just because things can be confusing, it can be hard to know what's going on. So sometimes we have to use our own judgment as we're making decisions and going through things. And again, sometimes things are messy. Not everything is linear in life in general. As Jade said, this won't necessarily be something that everyone feels a big change in their personal life. But overall, these are the themes that we do experience with Neptune in Pisces.
So the next thing that happens during Sag season is Mercury entering Capricorn. This happens on December 6th at 5:08 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, the spoiler alert, if you listened to last week's episode about Mercury and Sag, Mercury will eventually retrograde in Capricorn. Now, don't worry about this now, because Mercury retrograde in Capricorn happens during Capricorn season, but it's just good to have that in the back of your mind, because as Mercury enters Capricorn, you'll need to pay attention to the themes that come up during this time, because you'll revisit it again in Capricorn season. But what you need to know right now, what really matters, what's important right now, here and now in this moment, is that when Mercury enters Capricorn, you might find that you become a lot more practical about things. You choose logic over emotion. You'll really get focused in on your long-term goals, start taking the lead, and also taking a bit more responsibility.
I also feel like this will be a good time to initiate things, especially new things. Sometimes we do a lot of thinking, and yes, we're talking about Mercury. Mercury does deal with thinking and communication, but it can be easy to get caught up in doing things the same way. And yes, Capricorn is an earth sign. It is very practical, but it still is a cardinal sign. So you might be finding that you have lots of new ideas, that you want to change things and do something a different way. Also, you might be communicating in a more straightforward, to the point manner.
Well, also on a positive note, Mercury in Capricorn is very funny. And that's like a very underrated and overlooked thing just in the birth chart and in transit. But if you're combining Mercury and Capricorn with Sagittarius season, the jokes are here. So enjoy some laughs. It'll be funny once, Mercury enters Capricorn, because we've got some Capricorn dry humor with some Sag sarcasm. Great mix. And then on top of it all, the next thing that'll even happen is a full moon in Gemini, which is also all about jokes. Not really. There's more to it. But this happens on December 7th at 11:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, full moons are times of releasing, and when we think about releasing, we're looking at the sign in question. This is Gemini energy. So you might find that you'll need to check in this day with your communication style and adjust accordingly.
Because Gemini energy is known for being very curious, similar to the Sagittarius vibes, where they just want to explore and figure things out and try something new, we also might be releasing some things that are distracting and things that have maybe taking up some of our time and some of our energy that is not necessarily useful to us in the moment. So honing in on the things that are important. Also, if you're the type of person who likes to intellectualize and overthink maybe and just take a lot of time to like ruminate and just want to figure things out, that could be another thing where we might want to let go and just practice accepting things as they are instead of always trying to understand or fix them.
Now, we'll talk more about this when we have the full moon in Gemini, but keep in the back of your mind that there are some aspects to retrograde Mars and some aspects to Neptune, which we just mentioned is adding some confusion to this mix. So put a pinpoint in for December 7th, full moon in Gemini. We will talk more about that. So the next thing that happens during Sag season is Venus entering Capricorn. This happens on December 9th at 10:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What you should know about this is this is really cute, in my opinion, around the holiday season, because Venus in Capricorn really enjoys traditions. So if you have any holiday traditions and that's something that you want to bring more into your life, those old traditions from maybe when you were younger or things that were in your family or even traditions you've made with friends, you might find that that's really enjoyable after December 9th. And similarly, there's a lot of nostalgia that comes with Venus in Capricorn. So if you're reflecting and remembering those traditions and remembering those times, don't be shocked by that. It's to be expected.
Yeah, and because Venus deals with our relationships with others, a lot of the things that we're remembering, the memories that are coming up, the traditions that we are embracing or the new traditions that we want to make, a lot of those things are going to have to do with reconnecting with others and the people around us and finding ways that we can celebrate and find comfort in things that are familiar.
Now, the other thing that you should know about this, though, is sometimes Venus in Capricorn really likes to work hard, just like the Capricorn energy in general does. So even though traditions and everything are important right now, if you find that relationships have to get put on the back burner for a bit due to some work things, that is also very normal and to be expected if you need to maybe take a step back to finish up some work before you go see your friends and your loved ones. And the last thing that happens during Sag season is Jupiter re-entering Aries. And this will be the start of the full Jupiter in Aries transit, as we had mentioned. Jupiter enters Aries December 20th at 9:33 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've had Jupiter in Aries for a little bit. We had a little taste of it, and now it's here to stay. What this means for you is for the next year or so, you might find that you're prioritizing yourself a bit more, putting yourself out there more, being a bit more spontaneous, and finding that your energy is a little bit higher than usual.
Yeah, if you're someone who is typically more focused on others and putting others first, you might find that Jupiter in Aries helps you to make sure that you're still taking care of yourself and making sure that your needs are met. There definitely will be a sense of urgency because Aries is a very fast-paced, quick sign. So there can be an element of impatience, but it will be a good time to take calculated risks if you are ambitious and if you are wanting to start things. Keep in mind, Mars is still retrograde, but it will end eventually and Jupiter will still be in Aries. So I feel like that is worth mentioning.
And that's pretty much it for Sag season. So if anything that you heard caught your attention, you want to know more about it, then this is your reminder that we do also offer readings. Readings are hosted on an app called Intro, which allows for FaceTime style calls. You just decide who you want the reading with, whether it be me, Jade, or Kara. We have intervals for as short as 15 minutes to as long as 1 hour. You decide what you want to talk about, what astrology questions you have for us, and we'll be able to answer them for you face to face on the call.
And if you've never booked a reading with us before, then you can use the code STARS, all caps STARS, for $20 off your first reading.
And just a reminder, next week we'll be doing an educational special all about the houses. This is a very important topic in astrology, and we hope that you tune in to maybe learn something new. But if you want to stay in the loop with us and all the things that are happening in the stars, then make sure you're following us on social media. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at BLME The Stars. That's all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.